Welcome back to 5 Minute Fantasy Football, presented to you by the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Dave Heilman. This is the 5 Minute Fantasy Football Show. We're going to go through the Cleveland Browns and talk about Mike Clay's projections, go over some sleeper ADP, talk a little bit about what the Browns have done this offseason. The first thing I want to tell you to do is go to Underdog Fantasy. If you go to Underdog, download it, use promo code FFSGPN. You can actually do their season-long pick'ems. Right now, they have the higher or lower for Amari Cooper and David Njoku set at 5.5. And if you look over at Mike's projections, David Njoku sitting right there at 5, Amari Cooper sitting right there at 5. So he's taking the lower for both of them. What do you think? But let's look at the team. Deshaun Watson returns. Jameis Winston is now the backup with DTR behind him. Joe Flacco goes to Indy. And he's got Deshaun Watson higher than what the ADP has him. Sleeper ADP has him going off as the 22nd quarterback off the board. We saw him last year, and he had 2 games where he was good and 2 games where he was bad. And then everything else he missed due to injury. Was a shoulder injury. We'll see if he can come back. We have yet to see the Deshaun Watson of the past emerge in Cleveland, and he may never be that guy again. But he still has some rushing upside to him. He also can be one of the top fantasy options, and he's still just 28, same age as Patrick Mahomes. So I don't think he's done. Last year was just quite a mess for everybody. So let's see what he's got projected. 3,742 passing yards, 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. On the ground, 73 attempts, 377 yards, 3 touchdowns. Again, that's QB 14, and you're getting him at QB 22. He's coming off as a pretty good value if you want to stack up your roster and wait really late for that second super flex quarterback, or, Deshaun Watson makes a good third quarterback in your super flex. And again, like for those one quarterback leagues, he's a late round guy where you can stack your roster and take him with your last pick. Nick Chubb, he's got him for 11 games. That's one of the biggest question marks in this team. Nick Chubb's he's the identity of the Cleveland Browns over the last few years. And it looks like they're going to be phasing, towards a different era. You got Nick Chubb's older, Amari Cooper's older. We don't know what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson. But this offense was pretty explosive with Jerome Ford last year. Jerome Ford should have a pretty big year. And the way the ADP is shaking out right now, Nick Chubb's RB27 and Ford is RB44. I love it. Pick 125. Give me Ford over Chubb. It's a multi-ligament injury due to his age, due to his history. I don't like waiting on those guys, and the re-injury risk, and not just the ACL, but the hamstrings, the soft tissue injuries. I'm out on Nick Chubb this year. I get it. The price is decent, but it's still pretty high. I mean, you're paying RB27 price. Mike Clay's got him projected for RB36. I'm out. Jerome Ford, he's got him projected as the 44th, running back, which is actually exactly what his ADP is. I think he can beat that, especially in the passing game in your PPR formats where he's been explosive. Mike Clay's got Nick Chubb projected for 890 yards, 6 rushing touchdowns, 160 on the ground with 1 TD. In the air, he's got then Jerome Ford, he's got 492 on the ground with 3 touchdowns. He's got 26 receptions, 181 yards in the receiving game. He's got Ford for 14 games, Chubb for 11. After that, you have Hines, Foreman. Foreman could be a little, sleeper, but really I'm more interested in Ford than anybody. Then you have Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, and Elijah Moore as the top 3 receivers being drafted. Mike is not a big fan of Amari Cooper this year. I know Cooper's a little older. He also, for some reason, does not like to play away from Cleveland. His road splits are pretty bad. And last year he went on a tear, but it was with Joe Flacco. He hasn't really been the Amari Cooper of, the best Amari Cooper has not been the one that's played with Deshaun Watson. What Mike has him projected for is 73 receptions, 1,030 yards, 5 touchdowns. We talked about Underdog has his higher or lower right at 5 touchdowns, 5.5. And he's going off the board as wide receiver 29, which is right around where Mike has him at the 32. Jerry Jeudy, he's going off the board as 58, and Mike has him a little higher at 49. He's got 61 receptions, 909 yards, 4 touchdowns. Then he has Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore has done he's done the least with the most opportunity that we've seen from anybody in a really long time. I would love to see Cedric Tillman get more involved in this offense. I'd love to see Jamari Thrash be a thing. Elijah Moore, he just does not put in the effort. He does not block, and he's not a good NFL receiver at this point in his career until proven otherwise. So hope these other guys get a chance. I really like Cedric Tillman, and I would love to see him get a shot here. I think he can do something. But David Njoku is the last one to talk about. He's very tough to look at as far as he's been off and on in his career. And then last year he had a stretch at the end of the season that was amazing. I mean, he was the tight end 1 with Joe Flacco, tight end 1 overall. But Joe Flacco is not the quarterback. This is going to be Deshaun Watson's team. And David Njoku is projected to finish as tight end 8. He's being drafted as tight end 10. Not much of a difference. He's going off the board with the 85th pick. 63 receptions, 744 yards, and 5 touchdowns. One thing he did do really well last year was red zone targets. Not only was he the number 2 in targets on his team, but he also led the team in red zone targets. So I don't think that's going to change. I'm taking the higher on the 5 touchdowns. Njoku he's definitely a threat in the red zone, and Nick Chubb's not going to be as much of an option. They pass a little bit more this year. So give me Njoku. So went a little bit over today, but that's the Cleveland Browns. As always, good luck this season.